Hi, Liza.
Hola, how are
That
you?
we're using your government name today, no?
Oh God, and I love come
Yes,
with
I've
this
been I've
government
been
name.
following. I've been following. So let me welcome you to Let's Talk. And for whoever is watching this video, I welcome today Liza. She is a talk show host and MUA makeup artist,
Mhm.
and of course, a mother of two amazing boys. So, Liza, is there anything else you want to tell us about yourself before we dive in?
Well, I mean, I'm a spontaneous human being. I'm very passionate and fiery. And when I say passionate, passionate about just common human decent things to do. You know, I'm a humanitarian at first because I do believe that we are all here for a purpose. Our existence is not just for self, it's for serving others. We are here to be each other's brothers keeper and our sisters and brothers. And so those are the things that I'm very passionate about. And I also advocate for sickle cell because of my son and
Oh,
other family members who have lost to the illness. So yeah,
yeah.
that's
Okay. By the way, do you still have your charity?
yeah, man.
Yes. All right. So you need to tell us more on that a little
Yeah.
later.
Oh, yes, I will tell you guys
What
about
links
that.
and stuff so I can put it up. So tell me about those two boys of yours. What they're up to.
Two men in little shells. That's what
Oh,
I can
yes.
say.
Mm-hmm.
Two men in little shells. I mean, they're bright, they are evolved, they are a lot more sensible than your average adult that is out there. They have a sense of reasoning that sometimes surprises me based
How
on
old are they?
7 and 11.
Oh, okay.
Right. And their intellect, it surpasses just the average child's intellect in terms of how they see the world, how they think about life. And those are the things that really and truly makes you feel good. It also motivates you and inspire you to be a better person and to also work on your sense of awareness for self, you know,
Yeah,
because these are two children that you birthed. If you have kids like that, it makes you want to be a better human being, a better parent, and it pushes you to go for more in life. That's what I see.
definitely, definitely. Unfortunately, not everyone sees it like that. When they have kids like that, they think of it as a challenge,
Mm-hmm.
so they unfortunately dumb down the child, break them,
Mm-hmm. I
and
think some
that's
of our
sad. But
parents did that too when we were growing up.
yes,
Instead of building that character, that strength, they dumb them down. So when we get older and we make poor choices and we become dysfunctional, them still cost me, but they don't understand where it is coming from, or
so
they
true.
choose not to acknowledge where it is coming from.
Okay. So, Liza, I know that your boys aren't living with you at the moment. You mind
Mm-hmm.
sharing how did you come about making that decision for them to live with their dad? And because it's very rarely heard of.
Mm-hmm.
So what made you make that decision?
Life experiences. Um, so let me just put this out there first and foremost. We have a tendency of bashing the men. Um, and I could go there, but I won't because I choose to focus on the good. And their
Yeah.
dad is an amazing father. He's a good provider.
Hmm.
Um, he too started off his journey. He struggled to just be where he is now. And because of where he is now in the position to take them on, right? And I
Hmm.
give him kudos to that. They love their dad, gone to bed. So regardless of how we have lived and the bitter fallouts that he and I may have had and the bitter exchanges, at the end of the day, what is important to me is that the relationship with his children are first and foremost. And that is something that I honor, I value. So it no matter to me, if him hate me, it's okay. If he loves me, it's okay. It just don't matter. I just
It's
want to
something.
know.
Yeah, it's something a lot of women don't realize. They might be, because I'm the same thing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
look at my ex-husband and I and how we relate and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
like right now, we're planning a Christmas holiday as a blended family. He and his new family,
And
and my care,
awesome.
significant other. But it didn't start there, you know. It was he didn't make a great husband then,
Mm-hmm.
because he's now a husband and father again, and seems to be doing a lot better, maturity, all of that,
Ah,
But from day one, though, even though I can say many bad things about the experience we had, he has always shown love for his boys, always. And unfortunately, yes, sometimes some of the arguments, and even though he admits it, it's because of what he experienced as a child. He was raised as a single mother, with by a single mother, and the experience wasn't good, and it left him with a lot. And so now at this age, he's sorting through it. But that's what caused the relationship to be where it was. But as a father, I have to give credit where credit is due. So I totally get that. And it's unfortunate that a lot of women don't understand.
they don't.
It didn't work
It's
as it,
ego. It's ego.
yes.
It's a
Yeah.
lot of it's a lot of dedication to self-work.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what made so as I go back to the first question
Mm-hmm.
about my children being with their dad, it wasn't the easiest decision to make. Even though when I speak about it, I feel a little emotional because
Yeah.
I'm accustomed to being mommy 24/7. I when I would be working on set, my mind would be fine for a while, and then it's like later down I started feeling like, oh Jesus, I'm doing something wrong. I need to be home with my kids. I need to get home. That is how I felt because I was never really away from them. I never left them to go anywhere. My party, so I thought
Mm-hmm.
everything was done, and the relationship, I don't even, I call it a situationship with their father and I. It led me to the worst
Uh-huh.
place in my life. I became a worst person. I became the worst version of myself. I lost who I was
Wow.
in the whole drama. And so it was affecting my money energy. It was affecting my confidence to anything. I became more and more inconsistent and we did done as a creative. You cannot, you know how it go. I don't even need, once I use the word
Yeah.
creative, you understand
Mm-hmm.
the
Yep.
challenges we have already. I was not your linear
Mm-hmm.
person who was out there for the corporate. I just was not. And so
Yep.
no matter what I did to try and readjust myself, it's like as soon as I got to that place, the energy started hitting me down again, you know? And it got so bad to a point where when I stepped out on my own with the kids, things were getting better. And then once I had allowed that energy to come back to me again,
Mm-hmm.
I went down and I went down in the ground. And I'm telling you, this is years, not 5 years, not six. We are talking about extended years. So that was youthful years. And not that I'm not youthful anymore, but those were productive, youthful years that
Yeah.
maybe if I had the knowledge I have now and the determination and the will that I have now to be a better person, I would not have made certain choices or certain decisions. But I tell you this, I'm very grateful for those experiences though, because it has helped me to be the person that I am now. And trotting on the journey, let me tell you something, Franny, not easy because you have moving from old ways and unlearning things that you were socialized to inherit behaviors that we've inherited from our parents and our culture. When you are now at the place where you want to unlearn and unpack those things, it isn't easy because there are times you're going to have your moments of weakness and you're going to go back to that place. But
Oh yeah.
the thing with me is that as soon as I go back there, I'm like, no, come on, keep moving, you know? And so because of my mental well-being, because I fell into depression, I had suicidal thoughts. There are days
Wow.
I used to sit down as soon as they're done being ready for school. I would sit down under the tree outside and look up in the sky and I would just start shaking. Like I would shake for an hour straight. So that was the anxiety that was
Mm-hmm.
coming on to me. That anxiety was coming on to me because I'm anticipating an argument. I'm anticipating some nagging. I'm anticipating some fight, something. I was always in a space of anticipation for the worst to happen. So I'm always thinking things in my head before they actually do happen, and before you know it, they do happen, because that's where my head was. So
Right.
my life was, it was constantly with a fist, ready to fight, because I felt like somebody was going to come and attack me, and the person would have been him. And it would have been situations that I have to deal with, womanizing, the disrespect, hearing my name out on the road. Those were the things that I was sitting down and processing, and it was tearing me down. I became so focused on the issues and the problems that I forgot myself. I forgot my goals. There are times I didn't even, I remember I had reached out to someone because it was getting crazy. And they like to bring you back to this place where, oh, write 10 things down that you like about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I have, to this day, I remember that paper. I just saw the paper the other day. And I remember looking back at that paper, I could not even list one thing that I liked about myself. Because
Wow.
then I kept on hearing, you're an incompetent mom, you're not this, you're not that. You were never good enough.
Mm-hmm.
You were never good enough. And so I kept on feeding into those things. So it is me fighting with self and fighting with what is out there. And I realized, no, I had reached a point where my personality, the aggressive side of me, was becoming more and more apparent. And I was losing. That is when I knew I lost myself, because I was feeding into that anger energy.
And of course, I'm sure that affected your parenting.
Oh God, it
Affected
did.
the
I
relationship
was
with your
tired.
boys.
Every single day I was freaking tired. Every day I was tired. And I would get short for nothing. Yeah. I mean, I would snap for nothing. And then when I realized I'm snapping, I'm like, oh my God, I cannot be snapping at them like this. They didn't do anything. More so the older one. The younger one, no, he was always clinging to me. He would not. Let me tell you something. Children are very discerning from
Mm-hmm.
as early as day one. And I remember, I don't know if it is that he felt the stress that I was going through when I was pregnant with him, but he
Mm-hmm.
clung to me. And so I can't, if I've slapped him for the amount of times I've ever had to clap him on his hand since his birth, I think it would probably have been one handful of time. And that was when he too was feeling the tension, and he
Mm-hmm.
would be responding to it, but I wouldn't understand. I realized that he was very uncomfortable with the changes that was taking place around him. And he was not used to that instability, you know? So
Yep.
he,
There's actually
he
a theory behind it, and I need to post. I forget his name right now.
mhm,
Doctor, I watch him a lot, and he talks about stress parenting.
mhm,
And when you're under stress while you're pregnant, because that's my experience with my younger one also, it was
mhm.
during a tumultuous time. And he too, very clingy. At 12 years, going to be 12
Yes,
tomorrow. Still very clingy, still very, So yes, there is science behind it, apparently, when your child is that way.
very clingy. And
Mhm.
and I'm actually very happy, to be honest with you, that he's with his dad now, because the relationship between the two of them has improved a lot. And I've
Mhm.
often had to say to him, Daddy will always be daddy. You have to love daddy. I remember there are times I'd get phone calls of their babysitter who would tell me how he picked up the phone and called his father and said he doesn't love his father. And I couldn't have it. I could not have it. So the first one loves Daddy world beyond, because Daddy was more around during that pregnancy.
Right, right.
Daddy and I were not in the best of spaces when it came on to the second one. This one was a
Mhm.
surprise child, you know,
Mhm. The
and
one conceived in vexation. That's what I say about my second son. He was
yeah,
conceived in
he was
vexation.
conceived under the vexation, my dear. And it was a case where he and I, he wasn't around. during that period. He wasn't really around. So there was no bonding. Like the first one, even though, because none of them came through. I won't say that I had the most wonderful pregnancy in terms of the relationship with their father, but the
Mhm.
first one had the opportunity of having him more around because he
Right.
wanted the first child and he was happy and everything.
Mhm.
So he got that. He got the best of the both worlds, if you get what I'm saying. The
Oh
last
yeah.
one didn't, right?
It sounds very much like my story, so I understand.
So it took a lot of warming up for
Mhm.
Mahari to warm up to him. And I've had to encourage, I said, you have to love daddy. Daddy loves you, a big deal. But children are smart. And I remember when we went to counseling twice while I was pregnant with him, the pastor looked at him and he said that whatever energy that you have about this child, that
Mhm.
child is feeling on it and he's
Oh
feeding
yes.
on it. So you have to be careful of the energy that you're pushing towards the mother,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
And then and there, it never registered to me or occurred to me until I saw the relationship between him and his dad, how broken apart it was from birth until the first 4 years of his life, because
Yeah.
he was always mommy's boy. And it,
Question: do you find that your last son is also very much like his dad?
oh Jesus, with the galley
Oh.
spitting it. So let me tell you, he's gotten both, he's gotten the loving, fire personality from mommy, but in
Mhm.
terms of the womanizing and the girl the loving woman business, and he's been that way from he's been born. It's not something that from he's been born. I saw it in him from he was born. And he said it to
Mhm.
me the other day, Mommy, I like every pretty girl I see. The other day we were having a
Wow.
conversation with his grandfather. It was the three of us were eating. And he jumped up and he said, you know, I want to have a girlfriend outside of a wife. So his grandfather looked at him and said to him, oh, you want a girlfriend, you don't want a wife. But Harry said, no, I want a girlfriend and I want a wife. Now, granted,
Wow.
I have not had any discussion with him between girlfriend and wife, right?
Mhm.
Neither his father, when his father heard, his father was shocked, right? He will tell me that he has two girlfriends at school. He him love woman, like him father, love enough woman. And
Wow.
any woman who is with him that doesn't know, I mean, it's gonna be out on public domain. I'm sorry, but any woman who is with him that does not know that he is a man who doesn't claim monogamy, then
Mhm.
they're in for a rude awakening. So yes, he has those traits. Straight up, the first
Mhm.
one is very reserved. He has his father's introverted personality. Yeah. Akila is
Mhm.
very introverted. He's not the out there person, but if you have a conversation with him, he'll warm up to you. And he is very introspective. So he observed, both of them do, but one has more of an outgoing, extroverted personality than the other.
Right. Right.
That would be me. So my heart is me where the extroverted personality is concerned,
Mhm.
and he's very loving and he wants to make sure that everybody is okay and he stands up for people. So that is me. I stand up for people, stand up for what is right. And if you're not treating someone fair, that's something for you. So that is the personality he has for his mommy, But in terms of the first one and his dad, I think they're more similar in their personalities. Where the girls are concerned, he's just focused on his boy stuff and playing games. He's not really,
Mhm.
he's warming up to the girl, because when he was like maybe about 4, so he was into the girls, and then he just went through a phase where he just in
Well,
business.
he's going to be in high school soon, so that probably
So
will
he's
change.
warming up back now, the climate is getting warm there again. But the downside to having them there with their dad is that I feel like I'm doing them an injustice by not being there
Mhm.
24/7 as I once was. But I realized, just last year that I think it was one of the best decisions I made, because of course your ego and the praising of the single mother society.
Oh
Oh,
yes.
they out there and they're hustling 2, 4 jobs to make sure that, and it should not be that way. I am not for it. Because when you do that, the woman who brings birth into this world, she damages that child because she's taking on the
Exactly.
burden. She's wearing this superwoman cape that the society expects her to wear and rewards her with just a clap. She pop herself
Mhm.
down, she damage our boy, picnic them, she damage our girl, picnic them. And then what we have is we have
Dysfunctional
a
society, yeah, and that's
disabled
why
and a
we are where we are.
dysfunctional society. So
Mhm.
me, I'm not going cut nose to spite face. I have let that go. I've compartmentalized my relationship
Mhm.
from my relationship with their father to my relationship as a mother to a father. Are we co-parenting well? No, because it's still, the wounds are still fresh.
Right.
And because of his personality, he could say I'm difficult too, but I think he's difficult as well. So it is now a matter of taking that trod, you know, um,
Mhm.
taking your time and going through the deserted land until you get, because it must be over, you know. At
Yeah.
some point, that war that war has to be over, and I am not going to fight the war because I'm busy working on me now. I'm doing me. You had the time to build yourself, to get your business to where you wanted it to be so that you're in a better position. Because one thing I can tell you about a man, when he does not have his things together, it affects his ability to be the best human being that you want him to be, whether it is being the best
Very.
husband or the best father or both. If he doesn't have his whole thing together, he cannot give you, or he cannot be the best person to you or anybody at that time, because film business is to hunt him money, you know. So now that he's there, I'm happy because they're taken care of, they're provided for, they have a close-knit family, and family
Mhm.
is important on the institution of their side, and that I am grateful for. So they have those foundational principles. So in the meantime, mommy, if mommy not good, they're not good. So for me, having that experience, learning that now, I have been able to deal with myself and start. It's like, so I've
Mhm.
started over, starting life all over from scratch, from scratch. So I'm better able to focus on now what my goals are. I'm not 24/7 mommy anymore. I'm not as available to them as I would have loved to be, because I'm so focused on putting things together to make sure that when I'm ready to get them back, everything is solid. And if
Mhm.
it is not me having them back full time, it is a no, a shared thing where they're with me some days and they're with daddy some days, you know, so that they can
Right.
have mommy and they can have daddy. And I think it is very
Mhm.
important for women, because we're emotional beings. We don't recognize the brunt of our responsibility. When we give birth, we are bringing forth a new population, we're bringing forth a nation. And so we have
Mhm.
our responsibilities to nurture and to care and to love. That is our responsibility. It may sound old school and old tradition, but that is the truth, right? That is the truth of what it is. And so if we are utilizing all our energies to go there, hustle down 4 jobs, yeah, hustle and hold down 4 jobs. First of all, you can't parent properly because you're hardly around them. Number two, you're going to come home and take out your stress them on the
Exactly.
picnic. Okay?
Mhm.
And so we praise. I get very passionate about this conversation because it pisses me off. We need to stop praising this single mother society, because then the women are
Mhm.
hardened from that experience of becoming a single mother, that they become so bitter that when they have their own sons, they damage their sons, and their sons get women who remind them of their mothers, and then they take out that mother
Mhm.
hurt on the woman, and they continue the cycle of a dysfunctional society. And then the mother, obviously, most naturally, not me because I'm very fair, takes side with her son's dirty ways, the ways that she's passed on to him, rather
Mhm.
than saying to him, you are wrong, rather than telling him that you cannot continue to do these things. I can't support it. She sides with him. Or if she doesn't side with him, she says nothing and makes the woman in his life look like she is psychologically damaged. more than likely you are going to be
Yeah.
psychologically damaged if you're dealing with that. And so the pain, the hurt, the frustration is passed on. Then that woman leaves and she's bitter. She has a child for the same man that is your son. Yeah. And she does the
Mm-hmm.
same thing to your boy picnic. We don't realize it, but what we do, we
Yep.
fake it. We get out there, we think we need to go and pursue our education and our career to make us better human beings rather than introspecting and being real with ourselves. So we wear this mask, yeah. We go and we buy our 2 point odd homes and our 1 point odd cars, and we're living a flashy life, and we think we have achieved it all, but deep down inside you are broken, you are not healed, you have not come to the reality of who you are. And then you think it is okay for another woman to have that experience because you had it. Check yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're not ready. Any woman that tells another woman to do it, it's okay, I have been there. No, you're not ready. So for me, and I've had to, it took it, so it's for me meeting women like yourself, meeting older women too, who have gone through the same experiences, maybe a little bit different, but they have told me
Mm-hmm.
how it has affected their jobs, being fired from several jobs in less than a year, having anxiety problems, feeling like when they get home, they're going to be facing another confrontation with their husband or their boyfriends. Then they in turn get angry and get short on the child because the child is just a beating stick. And I love my
Exactly.
boys dearly. And if I could go back to the earlier years of Akili, there are things that I would not have done. But knowledge is power. And when you use the knowledge that you've received, it becomes even more powerful, you know? So for me, right now, I tell all women, and I will say this, if you have the opportunity to restart your life and have your children live with their fathers, because we have a lot of good fathers out there. We have a lot more good men out there than we do, according to popular belief. We tend to highlight the bad too much. We have a lot of good men out there, and they just need to be given the opportunity. The women need to forget their egos.
Right.
So I just want to encourage them to let their egos go. Give the men the chance to do what it is that they can do for those children. Because it takes two energy, the male and the female energy, to raise the children. And I'm not going to say you're going to raise perfect kids. We're not even perfect human beings. We don't have perfect children. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying that we need to give the men the opportunity, because I've heard of stories where the men want to have the children and the woman refuses to. She doesn't even want the child to go to the father because she carry feelings saying you're a bun, or not just give her a bun, but he was verbally abusive, right? And I was at a place where that was concerned to where there are some of the women that he was dating, and I had to really ask myself, does this man realize he has children? What are the qualities that are you looking for in a woman to really come around the child, you know? But
Mm-hmm.
I prayed to God about it, and I said, God, if it is that I'm pretty sure he will do right by them, and he will do in his best way what is right for them, right? um and because of the verbal and somewhat physical abuse that would have taken place, and I don't want to come across as a victim, because I would fight back. You know what I'm saying? I would fight back. um but because of those experiences, I too was apprehensive. The situation could have taken place earlier, where I could have allowed them to be there, but I just felt like I was better off having them with me because I didn't trust
Yeah.
him. I just didn't trust him. And
Mm-hmm. And
time,
understandably so.
yeah, and time, experiences, and my reality and where I was, I realized I was down to zero, below not, feeling like a consistent failure, looking at
Mm-hmm.
my children and realizing that I'm going to fail them. And that was not my intention. And that was not what I wanted to be in their eyes. When their dad made that decision and he came to me, it was hard because I remember I cried for months before, during, and after, when I had to make that decision to get them there, it was very painful because I just enjoyed having them, but I had to be honest. I couldn't do it. Couldn't. And does it make you a weaker person? No, it takes a lot of guts to do that. It makes you a
Oh
weaker
yeah,
person when you decide that you want to work with your ego, screw him, screw everybody, and then you turn
mm-hmm.
around and screw up your children because your
Exactly,
ego. No, sorry, I'm
exactly.
not doing it. Your children, if you love your kids, you will do what is right for them. Not what suits your ego, but what is right for them.
Yeah,
And we
and
know
not only that,
the
we remember we are a part of a society that it's we glorify the woman, as you said earlier, cussing the man, and have the woe is me attitude and me alone attitude.
and we know that's
So there is
rubbish.
nowhere. So even though she knows she cannot manage, and even though she knows that he would probably do a better job, um, just in the situation, even if it's just financially, she
Mhm.
will not give it up because
Her
how
ego,
is she? How is she gonna look? And of course, it's better for her to sit down and cuss the worthless man, the worthless drunk, her
create the
favorite
story
word.
of a worthless man.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. And I realized that in hanging on and putting herself first and not the kids, the one who she's really hurting, the ones who only the kids get hurt in these situations. Only them, no one else. So if I'm bad mouthing their dad, it's not the dad hurting, it's not me hurting, it's the kids hurt at the end of the day. So I'm happy that you're encouraging that because, as you say, it's ego. We start looking at
Mhm.
ourselves,
Mhm.
what, because to be honest, I've been in that situation where I was so low that I called their dad and I said, "Are you in a position to take them if needs be?" And he says, maybe not, but if you think I'm in a better position, then you send them, you know. Um, and as you said, you have to learn to let go because in my situation in the beginning, oh, we had arguments over money, over all of that, and the threats came. Um, Send my children to me. Send my children if you can't. I'm not minding you and all of that. So, people who are listening, and because we are talking about where we are now and the relationship we have with our children's fathers, and it sounds like a dream, I guess, to some people. I just want them to realize that we've been through every damn thing them can think of and what they're going through. Why it has stopped, and I think I can speak on your behalf too, Liza, because we decided that we are going to do it differently. I decided that I am not going to argue. I am not going to get involved with that because my main focus, my children. And if I'm focused on them, it was easy for me to just. So if money is going to be an issue, I'm not argue over it. If whatever the issue is. And once I stopped, it stopped. So even if he was trying to start it, I was not going there. So eventually, here we are, and I can say we have
Grown.
a good relationship. It's funny, we
Grown.
have an ongoing joke. My ex and I have an ongoing joke where I tell him I still don't like you very much. And it's not
At
a
least you're
lie.
honest. At least you're honest.
And it's not a lie. And every time I say it to him, he pop up laughing and him say, "Well, I think I deserve it."
Mm-hmm.
But can you imagine we're at that point? We are not friends. We are co-parents. That's what we are. Because when we diagram, you will see us on the phone when traveling was going on. He would stay at my apartment with the boys, and I'd leave. When we're on the phone, we'll talk for hours. And people on the outside might think, "Wow, great relationship." Yes, but we're not friends. And whenever we're talking, it's about the boys. That's our connection. That will always be our connection. And for those boys, because they are the ones that are most important to me, I will keep it amicable and
I
I will
have
keep the
to
relationship.
applaud you. And I applaud him too for
Yeah.
being such a grown person to admit because they won't. They will never
No.
admit. Mine doesn't admit. He would never tell anybody the things he's done me. he flips it on the reverse and he says, I am the, one of the things I heard is that, oh, I was running him down. And at one point, I didn't really have to go looking at the mirror and say, God, no, everything that has been taken from me, this man is going to tell people that I'm running him down. What am I running him down for? So I had this kid, the first child for you. I have the second child, and the first child I run you down because that's what he told him when he wanted the first child more than anything else. And the second one, no, you're still telling people that I'm running you down. And it was a famous line for him to use. And I realized, I was like, and this is where also it affected my confidence. I was like, I'm like, hold on there. What is happening? Because, friend, there was a time I felt very ugly. Nobody never did look at me. I was
Oh
wondering,
yes.
where the men? What is going on? And I was
Yep.
like, maybe this is why he can give them that impression. Because I was just in a void. And with me, one of the things I can tell you about me is that I had literally distanced myself from friends that I've had from high school, from prep school. And it's a very few of them I've had, but I was not in their life for a good while because of what was going on. And I felt depressed about it. I didn't know who to talk to because people will judge. And I didn't want to be in a situation. No, I even removed myself from my mother at one point in time, just because I did not want to get anybody involved and them giving me their judgment and people using their ego and tell you what, because even though he was the horrible human being he was to me, I still had it in my head that these are my children's father. He is the man in their life. I cannot wish him bad. In the moment, in the heat of anger, I will cuss and I will say the most unforbidden stuff out of my mouth. I will say it. But as soon as I calm down, maybe 2 days after calming down, I reshift my thinking and where it is that I was. And yes, I do feel badly for some of the things that I have said, but I was angry. But to say that I genuinely would wish him any bad, I couldn't. I really couldn't. I don't even like speaking badly of him. When I do remember the things that he said and I'm tempted and I will say bad things, I still feel badly because these are my children's father. Those
Right.
things register in my head. So I know how to retrain my mind sometimes when I'm going to say anything negative, to just remember he's doing a good job. He's taking care of them. Big up yourself. Thank you for that. You're doing the boys justice. And it is good that the boys are seeing that too, because then they will have that male example. So when they get out there to have children, they too will be doing what they see their father doing.
Right.
You don't
Yeah,
get
it's
that.
one thing that's one thing I had to remind myself of also,
Mhm.
that his relationship with me
Mhm.
has nothing to do with his relationship with his children.
Amen.
I really had to separate the two, and that's hard. That's hard. But had to separate the two. And then I had to work on letting go
Mhm.
whatever happened. It happened
Mhm.
in the past. Why am I carrying it with me into the future? Carrying it with me into other relationships,
Let
carrying
it
it with me
go.
to my boys. And
Let-
no, this man not worth all of that space in my head. He's not worth all that energy.
But he moved on with his
And
life too.
exactly, exactly.
He moved
So
on.
I personally chose therapy. I got therapy because it was really like where you were at. I was at the same place. It was overtaking my life. And at the time, I didn't have the choice you had to send them to him based on situation.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever way, as you said,
Yeah.
if the mother has the opportunity to let the father take over for a while, let him do that. Fix
Amen.
yourself. For
Yes.
me, I didn't have that opportunity. I sought therapy because I needed to heal. I needed to fix me so I can be the best mother I can to my boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's
But
important.
like, can we? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said it's very, very important. And in this age now where we are, I'm happy that these conversations are happening more and more to let women know, let it go. It's okay. If you have that opportunity to do you, do you. It doesn't mean that you're being a bad mother or a negligent one. It means that you're taking responsibility, you're taking hold and taking charge of you, your life, your future. Yeah. So don't get drowned in, don't get sucked in to this ideal and this belief that people push into our heads to make us feel that if you're not out there hustling 4 jobs to take care of your picnic, you're a bad mother. You're probably a worst off mother doing that because you damage your picnic. Then we need to start seeing it that way now. And the society needs to cut the foolishness out now. It's time to get real.
Oh,
We've seen our
that's
friend
not going to happen.
Leighton's post. And yes, of course, I was going to be on the fence about being a woman, seeing these things, because one of the things I don't like also is that we're aware of who our partners are or were, the children, you know, their weaknesses and their shortcomings. I don't think, and especially if you are the more intelligent being and you know better, and I'm not going to tell you that knowing better means you're going to do better all the time, because God knows we have fallen short many times. We know better, but sometimes our emotions trigger us behaving a particular way. But I'm saying that you know better, you have more wisdom than this individual. Use your wisdom. I'm not saying you can influence the individual to become a better person, but you can use your wisdom to make the situation better by handling it differently. But then the more I read his post and see certain things, even the last one, he made a post about his mom and the experience he had of his mom being in the house and she was shout and rant. And it's not unique to him, because this is something we've
Oh,
all
no.
seen our mothers do. And
Yes,
I
and
became that
unfortunately, I've
person.
even done it. I've
I
even done
became
it.
that person. And to
Yes,
this day, when
yes.
I see my mother behaving the same way and I have stopped, I realize that it cannot be a good way to be. It cannot be a healthy way to be. You cannot, you make your environment uncomfortable when you behave that way. So when the man run
Exactly.
off and him go out there, so I'm not saying that that is the only reason, because it don't take anything for a man to just do whatever he wants to do. I'm saying
Right,
that
right.
if you have a husband or a man or your spouse, your boyfriend, whoever in your life that is not necessarily inclined to go out there to go be with somebody else, you have given him the permission just by your behavior alone to go do
Because
that.
you're not that comfortable place. You're not that comfortable place.
Because
It's
at the end
going
of the
home
day, the man needing
immediately.
peace of mind. The man won't come in, and it's not just him, your entire home. If the home,
Exactly.
if the home is not peaceful, the man is not going to, and you not peaceful either. Let's get that straight. So we think ranting and
Oh,
raging and being disrespectful, because it is disrespectful. It disturbs the
okay.
peace. It does. When you're behaving that way, you are creating room for more contention. Them no see it. So when,
Liza,
huh?
can we get a little deep here? We might lose some people here, but you
Oh,
and I have had these discussions. But I think women really need to understand the power that they have, that they carry the energy in the home. And when we give up that power, because that's what we do when we just allow emotions to take over, you're miserable, you rant, you rave, you chat, you cut,
mm-hmm.
you whatever, right? Because even though I was married to a narcissist, there were times when I tapped into that power and I saw it work. I saw change for the moment, because unfortunately, we know a narcissist can't
They never
change just like that.
change. They are the for the
But,
moment
I, it,
people.
but it made me realize, even with my 2 boys, since COVID started, um, the whole change, all 3 of us just cooped up inside
Mm-hmm.
24/7, all of that. Um, Tensions rose. I was just frustrated, 80% of the time,
Yes.
constantly
Yeah.
shouting and all of that, which is not something I practice. And the back and forth, the what we Jamaicans have to call back chat, I think is a word we need to get rid of. There's no back chat. The child is just expressing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I had to sit and realize, but hold on, Fran. If you are frustrated in the house and your anxiety level high and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
what the hell do I expect of my children? They are
Ah,
feeding off of that energy.
ah,
They are feeding off of that energy. also I have to keep in mind that they are also dealing with this shift, this change. I have my
Oh,
younger
thank
son,
you.
he's an outgoing person, not being able to socialize. So I become his playmate. And I find it frustrating. I want to be left alone. And just all of that. You see, once I reminded myself of that and shifted my energy,
Their energy
we were
shifted.
back, their energy shifted, and we were back to a calm household again. And so that we need, as women, we really need to understand. When Beyonce say, "Who run the world, girls?" We don't understand, It's really us. But I don't know. Whether it's
We
be from
do
slavery time or whatever,
it no
they
matter
have taken
what
our
we do.
power. They have taken our power. They have used religion to dumb us down, to think that we have no power. Listen, there's a story I was reading up on during the slavery days, the Maroons and certain tribes when they came to whether it was the US, Jamaica, wherever. That, and I'm sure you've seen pictures where when they were lashing the male,
Yes,
and if
all
the
the
woman
time.
was
Yeah,
doing,
man. And the Bucky
the
Master and all of
mother
that stuff.
or whether his mother or his wife, you would see her gagged. Do you
Mm-hmm.
know why? Because these women would just utter words and Bakramasa would drop dead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And their words were
So
stinging. From a
yeah,
long time we stay so. And what has
yeah.
happened is that the trauma from that experience, it got on.
Hmm.
It's something I'm learning, I've just been learning this for the last 4 years now, and I'm realizing the real
Hmm.
importance of the remnants of that slavery traumatic
Yeah.
depression
That
that's
and
been
religion.
running through the
People might
veins. It
and
keeps
religion, and they would use
running.
religion to
And they
muddle
use
it up.
religion now to keep them confined in a box, to hold them
Right.
there, and they turn to that as their saving grace. I tell people all
Hmm.
the time, I and my mother and I will have fallouts on the topic. And the truth is, we don't know the truth. Let's get that clear. We're born come here.
Exactly.
We,
Hmm.
me and you, my mother, my granny, my great great granny, none of them what come here know the truth. We only
Exactly.
know what is handed down to us on print. The only truth
Yep.
that we know is the truth of our own instincts, what we feel, what we see, because remember, everything is based on perspective too. Of
Hmm.
course, granted, there are certain standards and there are certain basic things that we know right is right and wrong is wrong. But fundamentally speaking, when you tap into your spirit, you can know when someone come around you and their energy is not good for yours.
Hmm.
I'm saying that history has been written and rewritten so often that we really
Yep.
don't know the truth. We don't know.
Mhm.
So for me, my guide is my inner instinct. And I do believe in God, but just not in the way in which Christianity takes it.
Exactly.
You understand? Because
Exactly.
God is my divine power. He ruleth over me, and it doesn't have to be a he. In fact, I believe
Thank you.
God is a she. You understand?
Right.
Yeah. Or God could just be a transgender. I'm sorry. Oh God, maybe blasphemous.
No,
But
don't let
maybe God
people
is a
rub your point.
hermaphrodite. He could probably be both a woman and a man. You understand? Because at the end of the day, it took two, two.
Well, the thing is, the problem is putting God in that box. That God is human and
That
has a sex.
exactly, right?
You know.
So that is my
Hmm.
guide. So in moving away from traditional teachings to understanding and developing your own understanding. Like the other day, I'll give you an example. My mom and I, we had a discussion. I was getting very upset with her because I realized how she speaks to her boys, her men,
Hmm.
which are her boys, still
Hmm.
her boys, as opposing how she speaks with me or to me is different. And
Hmm.
I find her approach to me disrespectful. No, I am not one of those kids who is going to be living under the fear that if I don't tell you that your behavior to me as a parent is disrespectful, I'm going to go to hell. I'm sorry. I am not going to do it because I am not emotionally barren. And listen to me. I know things I'm gonna talk about, you know. I don't know how much time we have because I know things in my belly button to talk about. Because we have this society where we're unapologetic for our bad behavior. You know why?
Yeah.
Because our parents never apologized to us when they did wrong to us.
Mm-hmm.
Because they believed
Mm-hmm.
that we were not human or we were not worthy of an apology. When they would hit us
Yeah.
for no reason, when they would shout at you and say mean things to you for no
Mhm.
reason.
And
So
the
we grew
shaming,
up
the
in
shaming.
that, yes. So we grew up in that environment, thinking that when we do the same to someone, they don't deserve an apology and we're too big to give an apology. So when someone goes out there and they apologize for doing something wrong, they say, oh my God, he is brave or she is brave or she's bold. No, bold.
Right.
It is not a matter of being brave. It is a common human decent thing to do. If you are
Mm-hmm.
wrong, admit you're wrong. Say you're sorry and move on. You get what I'm saying? And so we have that. We've
Exactly.
passed it on. We've inbred that into our children. So when my mother
Yeah.
speaks to me in a particular way that she does not speak to her boy children, and these are grown men, I am going to be offended. I am going to feel hurt
Mm-hmm.
about it. And then when you're going to say to me that you can't approach a man the same way you approach a woman, I said, no, 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 no. I said, at the end of the day, this is why we have this problem in society, because then you're teaching them to speak to a woman any way they want to, and they go
Mm-hmm.
uncorrected. But when the woman decides that she is not going to take it, you hear that we're trying to change the script. The script
Mm-hmm.
have to damn well change, because then, in
Exactly.
other words, you're gonna tell me that you gonna approach me the way you approach me or speak to me the way you speak to me because I'm a woman and you don't speak to them. That's sexist
Mhm. But
and that's
I've been wondering about this because your mother, my mother,
mm-hmm,
my grandmother, find that women from that era,
mm-hmm.
boys were placed on a pedestal.
They still are.
Um, no, what I'm seeing now is that why I think men of a certain generation are totally screwed up in a different way because I've seen how younger mothers now speak to their boys in the most vilest way.
But
That
they
never used to
always
happen with
did.
our mother.
That happened before, but I think, remember, we're coming now into
Mhm.
an era, in a single parent era, and I think that really started in the 90s. Remember, prior to the 90s, it was not for me when I was going to school, it was rare. When you heard a
Mhm.
child say, oh, she only live with her mother, her father isn't around, I found it weird because
Mhm.
all of us, whether the man I get a woman born or I'm abusing her, they were still
They say,
together. So therefore,
they
that male
say.
energy created the balance for them. So you had a better breed
Mhm.
of boys back then because the male
Well, I
energy
wouldn't
was
say
there.
better. To be honest, I wouldn't say better. Different
No,
issues.
they have their issues, because you see it in you see it in my generation
Right.
here. They have their
Mhm.
issues, but I'm talking it's gotten worse now
Yes, it has.
over
But
the
what,
last
what,
three
go back to what
decades.
you're saying. Our parents, they kind of put boys on a pedestal. I saw that my
Right.
mother talked about her mother, my grandmother, had two girls and one boy. And the boy ended up worthless. Why? Because he was petted. He
And
was,
praised.
the one son and all of that. But the girls, this expectation was set on the girls,
And them send out them
They
girl
must
picnic
do this, they
early.
must do that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, my mother was given away three times, but she would not give away the boy. Um, so yes, you're right in terms of how women from those era, because even though my mother is 90, has dementia, so a lot of things are coming out because of the dementia. She talks about my brother. Lord, if it wasn't for my son, if my son and my son and my son, yet till I'm the one here taking care of her, I'm the one doing everything, I'm the one. But I'm like, so it's coming out.
We're
The things she
disregarded.
shared that she lived with her mother and how she treated boy differently from girl. It's funny. Thank God she didn't raise us that way. But with the dementia, it's coming out now because the dementia kind of carry you back into, old traumas, old
Sometimes
stuff
you
come up.
remember old things, yeah.
Right. But nowadays, there's a shift. And you're right. Because there are more single mothers out there now. What happened is that all the trauma is now worse if it's a boy they have because
Oh
boys with
God.
their energy and all of that
Oh
and with
my
the frustration
God.
that comes from a single parent. So all of that is taken out on the boy. Worse if they haven't let go of the hurt, the bitterness. So that will be taken out on the boys because they look like the pooper or whatever. And so you're right, there's a shift. Issues still, different kind of issues, but yeah, mothers nowadays different. Everybody get it. Actually, I find there nowadays single moms speak more respectfully to the girls, handle girls better, maybe because the energy is the same, but the boys, they get it.
Big
That's what
time.
I've been observing.
Big time. And then their energy towards the girls are different. But guess what happened now? They instill, in my opinion, based on what I've observed, they've instilled wrong
Ah,
values. They've
exactly.
instilled the
And that's
wrong
why I have
values.
young women. Listen, my boys are in high school. And already the conversations when we sit at dinner and they're sharing with me, I'm like, why is a 14-year-old having this kind of conversation? Because the girls are coming with things. Oh, men are this, men are that. And I'm saying a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old girl don't have this experience. So where is she getting these ideas from?
Mommy,
Mommy.
and the space of internet too. And remember the
Exactly.
influence of internet, and we are seeing these female figures. So for example, I will
Yeah.
just bring something up as simple as Cardi B. Now, I'm not anti Cardi B. I actually love her. I love her. Here my
Mm-hmm.
problem. You have your children, you can't control everything. But you see, if
Mm-hmm.
you've given them the foundational principle, they won't depart from it. They will see things
True.
and they won't take it on. What Cardi
Mm-hmm.
B and what Meg the
Nicki
Stallion has
Minaj.
done and Nicki Minaj,
Mm-hmm.
it's nothing new. It's nothing new. It's in the entertainment industry. And these women
Yep.
on the day have learned how to separate their character, their entertainment character
Mm-hmm.
from their mother. Same thing with Spice. Spice is
Mm-hmm.
Spice on the stage. Grace Hamilton, you can't find a more decent human being when that woman goes to her children's school and shows up for graduation, prize giving, sport. You can't find a more decent human being than that. And what I'm saying is take responsibility, instill in your girl picnic the right values. You understand? And it's not about being
Mm-hmm.
flashy. It's not, and this we're fixated on the material acquisition to say that is your means of success. Here we are
Exactly.
pulling apart and tearing away the fibers of what has been defined as success over the years. Yet still you are now packing back that foolishness into your girl picnic headspace. When I go on the internet and I see ridiculous headlines of the reasons for people leaving, just something recent, I forgot the name of this couple, apparently they're celebrities. And the girl left him because the 2 point something million dollar car or whatever it is that he got for her was not enough. Men have spent more money on her. And I'm saying this culture too of women thinking that men are entitled to spend on them because them name woman and because them look good. That needs to stop, because what you're doing now is trying to dilute the men. Where are the values? You know what I'm saying? It's not
Mm-hmm.
just going into school and getting a degree, because that doesn't mean anything anymore. Because a lot of them who have their degrees still behave like them don't have no damn sense.
Very true. Very true.
What are the pillars of your foundational principles that you're raising your girl children on? Look at what is
Mm-hmm.
going on. The younger girls know. And that is why I still stay back to my old school in terms of the women that I saw on TV. Those are the women that I continue to emulate. And you've seen them grow throughout this era, and they still maintain their decency regardless of. They still have certain principles which have guided them regardless of. And these are women that I look up to. Why? Because they have still been beautiful. The men have still been watering their mouths over them, just being
Mm-hmm.
as classy and as beautiful as they are to this day. What are we teaching our girls? The women know, when, especially women of color, what I'm seeing, I'm happy for those who are out there and making a difference in a different light, being entrepreneurs, showing their intellectual side and being real. But then when you look at the next set of our women and you see what has been shown on TV, you see how they behave, it breaks my heart, because these are what men have to deal with. This is what Philly boy
Mm-hmm.
picnic them going to have to come up and deal with. How do we
Right?
change that? What are the bars now that are
Mm-hmm.
being set? So what we need to teach our boys, the mothers of boys, is to teach them to listen, know your worth, understand
Mm-hmm.
that she's coming into your life. There has to be certain principles that you go by. Yeah. Because what is out there right now, it's a hot mess. It's every time I think about this generation and my children's generation, because we are a hot mess. We are.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets messier each generation. So now we have to coil it back and just try our best with them, because that is all we can do. There's nothing safeguarding them, but we can try as best as possible to teach them certain things, to guide them so that they make the decisions when they get old, and they will make whatever decisions is best for them. And if it works for them, it works. And if it doesn't, I'm sure they will try again.
True, true.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, Liza, that was something else, and there's so much more. Sure, we can throw out
Yes.
there, but time is upon us. But um, what are your parting words to single mothers out there who realize that they're struggling? Um, they're not parenting the way that they really want to, and they're not feeling, the confidence is gone. Things just seem to be falling apart at the seams. What parting words?
My parting words are, if you have the opportunity, as I said earlier, to start over and have your children live with their father, allow that to happen. If you have the opportunity to get the help you need psychologically to deal with your emotions and the issues you are going through, go get it done. It's important. It is imperative, because if you're not healed, hurt people. And the only thing
Yep.
that's gonna happen is that you pass on the hurt to your innocent children, and they end up passing on hurt to others. They become bullies in school, or they suppress that hurt and they become dysfunctional, and then you get more frustrated with them because you can't understand why they're this way. So I'll say, forget your ego, drop your ego, stop trying to wear that cape, because no matter how society praises you, you are breaking down. And I know a lot of
Mhm.
us do it because we want the praise. The praise is not worth it. It is not
Trust me.
worth it. It is not worth. Do I care what people think about me? No, as it relates to having my kids. No, I don't. I flipping well don't care, because guess what happened when I was tearing down inside and breaking down inside? Guess what happened?
No one came
People
to your rescue.
and guess what happened? People were still saying stuff. Anything you do,
Exactly.
people are always going to talk. So you have to drop your ego. And if that man, regardless of your hurt and pain that you may feel towards him because of whatever he's done, and it takes two to tango, you need to drop
Mhm.
that. Think about your child, think about your future, and go. Let him keep them and do you. Because if you're not okay, they can't be okay. They can't.
True, true.
Cannot be, and they won't be. So it's not, there's nothing wrong with doing you. There's absolutely no shame in having them stay, because you are not in a position to do what it is that you can do for them, which is to give them a better opportunity. And it doesn't have to mean finances, because if you ask me, having money or no money is one thing, but when you are not there psychologically,
Hmm.
it
Exactly.
doesn't matter. I've seen so many women in top ladder jobs at corporate and in corporate getting the six figure, and guess what happened? Their children suffer
Oh yeah.
big time.
We know that.
So it
And
is
that's
not.
why, because for me, money was not the issue. But
There you go.
mentally, I know I needed the help. That's why I said it in my case,
Mm-hmm.
therapy.
And in my
So,
case, it was both my earnings and my mind, because when my
mhm,
mind was affected, I could not push my business the way I wanted to push my
yeah.
business. I started scaling back
Hmm.
big time. So of course my money was affected. And I
Yeah.
scaled back for many reasons. I scaled back because of the things I heard about myself out there, which was coming from him. The circle is small. And you start feeling and thinking things in your head that chances are never did go so neither.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
once your confidence isn't where it's supposed to be, it affects everything around you. It affects your parenting, it affects your work, it affects everything, your
You're worth
relationships, everything.
you. So if you're broken down, if you are broken down, and I've seen it happen so often to a lot of women, they've scaled back, they're
Mm-hmm.
coward, they don't think much of themselves because of what they've heard out there about themselves. And before you know it, they're down in the ground. So right
Mm-hmm.
now, at this moment in time, I care not. I give, if people want to give him all the credit, go right ahead,
Because at the end of the day, it's about the boys.
because it's about them. I
Exactly.
am not trying to wear that cape to say, oh, you're
Mm-hmm.
the best. No, 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 no. Mm-mm. If you want to
Mm-hmm.
give him my credits, go ahead. And if you don't, go ahead. It don't matter to me. My children, their happiness and their mental health and their well-being is what matters. I don't care about anything else. Nothing else. Nothing. So it's not about me and trying to wear that cape and trying to be superwoman. My child was sick and he had sickle cell, and every month from his birth up until maybe the first 4 years of his life, I was in the hospital with him. I lost jobs after jobs, put on the game face, put on the best face out there when I am tearing apart inside, because it wasn't just him that I had to deal with, and that it was also the dysfunctional, toxic situationship that I had to deal with where his dad was concerned. It was a lot. It was a
Oh,
lot.
and before we wrap up, please tell us about your charity and how can people help.
Mm-hmm. So Shaq's Hope, I'm a part of the Shaq's Hope Foundation, which belongs to former beauty queen, Miss Jamaica Universe, Shakira Martin, who died from sickle cell. Shakira was a very good friend of mine, and so in during her death, I became friends with her mom, and her mom decided to run on with the foundation Shaq's Hope. And what we do, we cater to children who are less fortunate living with sickle cell, and those who may have had it too, who are fine, but mainly to those who have the sickle cell that are less fortunate, can't afford to get good quality blankets, sheet sets, and those things to help to keep them warm, you know
Mm-hmm.
um yeah. And so what we do, we have a treat, annual treat every year, and we send towels down, we send toys, books, everything back to school, toiletries. We want them to feel good, and in feeling good they will probably be better, you know and so if they want to donate, we sign up with Amazon, and if you shop on Amazon Smile, they'll give you the list of the foundations that you want to make your purchases be charitable to. And
Mm-hmm.
you can go on amazonsmile.com, you'll see Shack Soap, and they send a percentage of whatever you've purchased, they send it over to the foundation. So if they want to donate, they can go on shackshope.com
Mm-hmm.
and make their donation. Just go on the menu and you can hit, and you can also volunteer. We have our treat coming up every year. This one now is in April 6th and 7th. So
Mm-hmm.
everything has been shipped already. I won't be there this year. I won't be, but the director and her husband, the team and some of the people from the sickle cell unit in Jamaica, they have teamed up together. They have the volunteers. Of course, there's never too much, but with the constraints of COVID, we can't have such a big team anymore until this whole nightmare is over. And yeah.
All right. And also, if you want to talk to a host,
Mm-hmm.
how can
Convos over cocktails. It's where every Wednesday and Sunday. Sunday is a fun show where we speak about any and everything. It's
Mhm.
risque sometimes, and it's fun. And you can follow my page, Convos Over Cocktails, on Facebook and on Instagram, and join in on the fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
And well, I'm always tuning in. So, boy, Eliza, thank you once again. You bore your soul. Um, got really personal. And I just hope that someone who listens will, realize that, I have to do something if my foremost concern are my children.
Mm-hmm.
care of me first. So thank you again for being on Let's Talk. And I will see you. You see, this had to be pre-recorded, people, because she has her show tomorrow. So even though this won't be up until tomorrow, this was actually done on Tuesday.
Right.
So tune in. This will be on YouTube. You can watch at any time. Tune in to Convos Over Cocktails tomorrow.
COCKTALES.
Yes, and
Right.
see what Miss Liza is up to. Thank you once again. And remember, ladies, the hand that rocks the cradle. You need to finish it.
Oh, Jesus have his mercy. My headspace is not rocks the world.
Exactly. Bye.
Rocks the world. Bye. Take care.